It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Riding on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, break a bone, getting high, getting shook. I'll show you folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try playing a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to the 2007 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series as our winter charge to the end of the championship continues here from California as it's race number 34 of 36 in this season as we take to the Napa 500 under the California sun here today. And it is going to be yet another fun one here as we take you to the racetrack at the 2-mile D-shaped oval for your starting lineup in tonight's race. Starting on pole is going to be the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. with Casey Mears in the 55 to his outside. Third place, it's Ryan Newman in the 38 right behind his teammate, and fourth belongs to the 16 of Greg Biffle. Kevin Harvick will start this race in fifth. And Tony Stewart, championship runner-up, is going to start ahead of Kennington this week. He's in the 6th position. 7th place belongs to Scott Riggs in the 57, and Robbie Gordon will be in 8th. 9th is going to be Jimmy Johnson, last week's winner. And 10th is Jeff Gordon in the 24. 11th is going to be Jeremy Mayfield. Starting in P12 is Casey Kane. Brad Keselowski a position behind his teammate with David Rudiman, a nice qualifying in the 06. 15th is Ricky Hendrick with DJ Kennington, your championship leader, in the 16th position. 17th is going to be Jeff Burton and Kurt Busch in 18th place. JJ Yaley starts 19th, and Clint Boyer to his outside in 20th. 21st, John Andretti, and 22nd will be Matt Kenseth. Brian Keselowski will be starting in 23rd, and Juan Pablo Montoya in the 24th position. AJ Allmendinger will be in P25, and Scott Wimmer 26th. 27th is going to be Bobby Labonte with Elliott Sadler in 28th place. 29th, Kyle Busch is 43 with Jay McMurray in 30th. Carl Edwards will be in the 31st spot. And 32nd to Martin Truex Jr. 33rd, Todd Cleaver with Justin Allgaier in 34th. Casey Atwood will be P35 and TJ Bell in 36th. Eric Norris P37 with Marcos Ambrose in 38th. Jason Leffler starts 39th. And Shane Meal will be in 40th. And rounding out the field in the back row, Morgan Shepherd's 89 and Todd Bodine in the 77 machine. As we get set for a long one, 75 laps here from California. Championship Crux continues as we take it to the racetrack and trackside for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from California.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life, 42 car field as always. A 75 lapper here from California. And this race is yet another racetrack that has decided some championships in recent memory. We saw the engine trouble with Kurt Busch at this very racetrack last season that took him completely out of the championship. And once again, it's right in the middle of the championship fight. Just 3 races to go in this 2007 season, and Tony Stewart, for the first time in quite a few weeks, has finally found a way to out-qualify that 81 car here tonight, as he will start in the 6th position. Kennington gained just 6 points on Stewart in the 42 last week to up his championship gap to that 42 car. 131 points between him and Stewart for the championship lead going into today's race. Stewart on the right foot. He's got a long way to go in order to maybe make some points up on Kennington, who's going to have to start from further down in the field, but these racetracks are Kennington's bread and butter. He has been so good on the intermediates since coming over to the United States here in the Cup Series. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 starts on pole here today, and he will lead the field to the green here tonight, his first pole of this 2007 season. It's California, it's racy, it's aggressive. You'll see a lot of moves, a lot of chaos on the start. Guys are going to be fanning out into turn number 1, trying to make up spots early, and everybody wants to be at the front of that pack with all the draft at this racetrack. Pace car leads the field out of turn number 4. In on the left, 3 races to go this season. Junior and Mears on the front row as we head towards the box, waiting for the mark, and we are underway and racing here from California. Racing out of turn number 4, Harvick making a challenge with Earnhardt Jr. for the race lead down on the bottom. Riggs with a great start in the 57 car up to 3rd. Jr. leads the opening lap from the pole as we are underway. Stewart in the middle of 3 wide back there. You see Kennington not off to a terrible start himself, both of them about holding serve. Down on the bottom, the 20 of Kevin Harvick is going to take away the early lead as Jimmy Johnson, last week's winner, moves right back behind him into 2nd, and he's going to challenge for the lead. These are the 2 race cars that were side by side in a drag race for the win last week out at Vegas. And Johnson making quick work of Harvick. It's a pair of lead changes in a singular lap here from California. And the 48 takes away the first spot from the 20 as they race down the front stretch. Junior down to 3rd, still Riggs in 4th. As Stewart looking to try and pick up some positions here going into turn number 1, side by side with the 38. And he gets under the 57 as well. Battle continues up front. Harvick and Jimmy Johnson still side by side for the lead. Junior not far out of it in 3rd. Both the 48 and the 57 taking advantage of that top side here at this racetrack to try and power back around their respective battle mates. But Stewart into the top 5, just 3 laps into this race. Top 5 single file out, now into that draft train. You see Newman and Jeff Gordon side by side for position. Kennington not really able to make any headway just yet. He's still right around that 15th position in just this absolute dogfight of the mid-pack. From about 10th on back to probably around 30th, all these guys. And you see Kennington stuck up on the outside of 3 wide. Really not the spot he wants to be in. And almost made contact with his teammate, as well as Jeff Burton got caught in a dicey spot there. And he finds himself still stuck on the outside of 3 wide as we race out of turn number 4 up front. Still a single file train, down to 6th place now as Casey Kane has cleared. And the 34 car of Brian Keselowski has lost an engine just 5 laps into this race, and that is going to bring out the first caution of the day. Stewart side by side with Riggs here for 4th. Junior trying to maybe take 2nd from Harvick. 42 car up another position. He moves into 4th, racing out of 4 and back to the caution flag. Stewart really finds himself on the right side of things early as Kennington outside the top 20, and we take the first yellow of the night. Jimmy Johnson, the early race leader, takes the field under the early first yellow flag here in California. And we'll see if we see some early pitters here from the Napa 500. So at that caution flag, Kennington, the championship leader, fell down all the way to 29th at the time of yellow flag, so really not the direction he was hoping to travel. Well, we might see ourselves a couple of pitters here. In fact, we might see the whole field. And it is looking like that's going to be the case. So field brings it down pit road. Stewart in 4th position, well in front of DJ Kennington, but it's Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, who's going to lead this field to pit road on lap number 6 here from California Speedway. Johnson in on the left for his pit box, and he brings it in. You're going to see Stewart in on his left. Kevin Harvick, pole sitter Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in. Going to be interesting to see what the call is. Looking like 2 tires for pretty much the entire field here as Johnson out of his box and away. Stewart and Harvick get a good jump out of pit road. Earnhardt Jr. stays in 2nd, 3rd for Harvick, 4th for Stewart. Matt Kenseth into the 5th position as Riggs, not the greatest pit stop for that 57. But the whole field came down pit road under that yellow flag. We will take you to intermission here from California. Jimmy Johnson, last week's winner, the early leader here in the Napa 500. It's NASCAR on ESPN, and we will be right back. Back from intermission here in California as Jimmy Johnson will lead the field back to the restart this time. 48 car in the 1st position. Dale Earnhardt Jr., your pole sitter, Restarts in the second position. Third belongs to Kevin Harvick. Fourth will be Tony Stewart. And Matt Kenseth rounding out the top 5. And then the 2 PPC cars having a good race here today early. Yaley 6th, Riggs in 7th. It'll be the 26th position for DJ Kennington to restart here, as Scott Wimmer having some engine trouble under this yellow flag and is going to be forced to retire from today's race. A couple of early engine failures that puts Kennington up a position to 25th on the restart here. Jimmy Johnson going to lead the field out of turn number 4 to the restart here. Lap number 10 for the 48 car as he takes everybody out of turn 4. Pace car peeling in on the left. Headed for the restart box. And the green flag is back in the air. Stewart's going to try to jump to the outside on the restart, but not really where you want to go. Ends up losing a spot to Kenseth as we race towards 1. Side-by-side for second between Junior and Harvick as the 20 got off to a great start. Johnson, man, Harvick going to dive it down on the bottom. Saw some heroic restarts from him last time out at Vegas, and once again, number 20 getting aggressive on the green flag. Stewart clear of Kenseth on the outside. Moves back into 4th. Side-by-side for the lead as we head through turns 3 and 4, and Kevin Harvick going to get his lap led this time as he takes away the lead from Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Side-by-side for 5th behind Tony Stewart, as we are all the way back up to speed now. Junior trying to get aggressive with Johnson into turn number 1. He did get the nose underneath of him. Johnson fighting back on the outside. Out of turn 2, Tony Stewart pulls up into this mix. He's going to elect to go to the outside while the 10 of JJ Yaley goes to the bottom. In fact, thinking about taking it 3 wide, but couldn't quite keep the nose underneath that 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., so the 42 going to be side-by-side with him for the 4th position as they leave turn number 4. Still side-by-side. Top 2 break away. Check up on Kennington since the restart as he's slowly starting to pick up some positions in this pack. Has moved to just outside the top 20 and looking like he's going to move into the top 20 if he can deal with some of this traffic here, but still a lot of cars bunched up back there. Stewart and Yaley side-by-side for 4th. And that 10 car, 10 and 57, as mentioned, both bringing some strong cars early here today as Riggs goes underneath and Matt Kenseth, that's for 6th. 17 trying to hold him off for that position. There's a 57 underneath of him, but both of those PPC cars bringing some strong entries to today's race. Have continued this really strong late season charge by those two over the course of this year. Of course, Riggs with a win to his name at Road Atlanta earlier in the year. Yaley's come close to winning a couple of times. Battle for the lead. Jimmy Johnson underneath of Harvick in turns 1 and 2. Earnhardt Jr. back up into this mix. And right now, Tony Stewart in that 42, you have to imagine he's really hoping he can sneak a lap lead here. He won't be wanting to get those bonus points on the board, especially with the 10 bonus points that Kennington's 81 team took home last week, which were the sole reason he ended up losing just a couple of points in the championship battle. Finished in front of Kennington. But the pole and lap led, and multiple laps led by Kennington that race, very nearly got most laps led as well, but not quite able to take home that bonus point as well. So I'm sure bonus points are on the mind of Stewart as he moves past Harvick for 3rd. Looking competitive here today, pulling up to the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and trying to give him a look down the front stretch for 2nd. And he does get the nose underneath of that 88 side-by-side for 2nd. Johnson loving this in his mirror, continuing to lead. Junior trying to hang tight on the outside of that 42. Stewart trying to leave him behind down on the bottom. Still side-by-side. Junior with the draft off the 48 down the backstretch. Stewart with the better raw exit speed as they left turn 2 and went into turn 3. And Tony Stewart moves into the 2nd position. The 42 car finds his way into that runner-up spot. Now has his sights set with not a lot of help out back as Kenseth moves past Junior for 3rd. Gives him a bit of a buffer to 3rd place now with his sights on that 48 car. as he's going to try and make a run for the lead. Johnson, the early dominant car in this race, already with 4 wins on the year, has looked mighty competitive in the later portion of this season. Already was dominant in the later portion of the Vegas race last Sunday, now finds himself up front. This winner has been very kind to this 48 car, has been super fast, showing signs of Hendrick of old pretty much all around the team. We've seen the 5 of Ricky Hendrick has had some pretty good runs lately. Jeff Gordon, of course, has been competitive. Seen him in the back end of the top 10 in today's race. And of course, it wouldn't be the Hendrick of old without Johnson just continually leading laps, and once again finds himself out front here tonight. And of course, one of the most noteworthy things of this late winter stretch is the fact that we're now this late in the season, and with all the schedule shiftings and the movings of the races around the calendar over the course of this year, we race here in California the last Sunday of November, both North Wilkesboro next week and the championship finale held at Homestead will both be in the month of December. So really entering the cold months here over the course of this season, and Johnson has found some strength in them. Got a hungry 42 car right behind him, looking for a competitive run here tonight. Kennington, update on that 81 car, has continued to just charge through this field since that restart. He's moved into the 13th position. So Kennington looking no worse for wear. Got a lot of headway to make if he wants to get up towards the very front of this field. How about J.J. Yaley in that 10 car? Just moved past Dale Earnhardt Jr. for 3rd, though might lose it to Kenseth here as the 17 got aggressive with him in turns 3 and 4, side by side between those two. And for Stewart, really hoping that Kennington just can't continue that charge forward. We know how Kennington is so good at these racetracks. That 81 team has just been on point on these intermediates. And if you're Stewart, you really just have to hope that forward momentum doesn't continue, but he is currently working on his teammate Labonte for 12th. Stewart, who had just dropped off of Johnson the lap before, finds his way back up to the back bumper of this Lowe's 48. And here comes the 42 down on the bottom, trying to take away the race lead. Pretty big battle here for this first position. Side by side down the backstretch and into turn number 3. Johnson trying to hang tight around that outside line, and Stewart trying to outdrive him on the bottom. Duel back to the throttle out of 4. And Tony Stewart going to get the lap lead. 5 bonus points in favor of the 42 car. And he clears Jimmy Johnson off into turn number 1. Issues for McMurray with engine trouble. No smoke out of the 40 car, who has dropped a cylinder. He's down on the bottom of the racetrack, so not dropping any fluid. So this race looking like it's going to stay green, providing McMurray can bring it back to the pit lane. He is on the apron of the racetrack. That is looking like it will be the case. So, with his teammate up front, McMurray drops an engine, and he is likely to bring it to pit road and retire from this race. Jimmy Johnson sneaks underneath the 42 of Stewart, trying to take the lead back, side by side. Out of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Dodge v Chevrolet is a race off into turn 3. Johnson really drives it in on the brakes, and he clears Stewart before they even get to corner exit. So Jimmy Johnson retakes that race lead. And DJ Kennington, all the while, has moved back into the top 10. So Kennington in the 10th position now. You see Dale Earnhardt Jr. has continued to slip backwards over the course of this run. Kurt Busch has found some strength, so has Juan Pablo Montoya, 3rd and 4th. But the leader is quite significantly clear at the moment. Stewart trying to find a way to get that nose back underneath that Lowe's 48 car, but just didn't quite have the speed to do it. Going into 3, but he's got the run down the front stretch. And he's going to look to the bottom towards turn number 1. So yet another side-by-side battle for the lead as this raging war for first continues. McMurray in the 40 car has retired from this race. Johnson cleared Stewart, so no avail for the 42, and you're seeing a little bit of contact there between Kurt Busch and Juan Pablo Montoya, but these three, Busch, Montoya, and Harvick, are starting to close in on the race leaders. Kennington has moved up another position into 9th. And that 81 just continues to rear his head. He's been a thorn in Stewart's side all down the stretch. These two just have been incapable of getting away from each other. And looks like today might not be any different. Stewart drops off of the 48 car just a little bit, and his teammate Kurt Busch has closed the gap for that second position. And Stewart may be starting to feel the pressure just a little bit, 1/3 of the way through here in California. And here comes his teammate. And he is going to drop down to the bottom of the racetrack. Kurt Busch and Tony Stewart side by side for the second position. Stewart trying to get that run on the outside line. Had a great corner exit out of 2. Busch going to be a little bit patient here with his teammate. And Stewart will clear him out of turn 2. Side by side now for 3rd, as Busch is going to drive it in and stay in front of Montoya. Kennington into 7th, the MB&A Chevrolet, starting to show up in Stewart's mirror. See Greg Biffle in the 6th position. So now 5 cars in a line, might be more if Biffle and Kennington can get up to these leaders. Johnson, still the leader, has led by far the majority of this early race. He's had Stewart to contend with for a while. 42 starting to close back up. Maybe make a second challenge here at the leader, Jimmy Johnson. Down the front stretch and towards 1, Stewart giving a look. Johnson going to stay in front of him. Stewart just not quite able to get underneath of Johnson. That shallow entry really cost him a lot of time. And looking like Kurt Busch might try to get underneath of him for the second position, and he is going to do it into turn 3. But Stewart, no worse for wear, clear off of 4, stays in 2nd. Montoya and Harvick pulled in. 3 wide behind DJ Kennington, who has found himself now in the 6th position, continuing to charge forward. Was as low as 29th in this race, and has found himself nearing the top 5. Battle for 2nd, for 3rd, Montoya and Kurt Busch. As the 84 around the outside moves past Kurt Busch. But lap number 30, we're going to see pit stops. Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart. Tony going to try to cover the undercut. Kennington stays out. And it's pit stop time here from California. California. Montoya stays out to take the lead. Kurt Busch in the 01 car right behind him. Going to be interesting to see. Kennington in this third position has the opportunity to stay out and lead another lap here, but I don't think he's going to do it. Figuring he can get up into the mix for the lead off of speed alone. Kenseth 17 stays out. And here comes the rest of the field. Stewart already had a clean pit stop, and he is out and away. Johnson stays in front of him for the net race lead. Ooh, Kennington cut it real close with that 0-1 of Kurt Busch there coming into pit road. 4 tires and fuel going on for the 81 team. And he is going to have to hold just a little bit for traffic. Quite a long hold for Kennington there. Might have lost a lot of the ground that he made up. And he's definitely going to find himself down 5 or 6, maybe more positions as he leaves pit road behind his teammate in the form of the 18 of Bobby Labonte. So everybody back out on the racetrack now. 48 of Johnson getting out in front of the traffic here. There you see Montoya leaving pit road in a good spot, but going to have the cold tires, and Johnson's going to close in on him in a hurry here. See where this 48 elects to go with Montoya, who has had a great pit stop, but on the cold tires. Johnson going to get underneath of him on the front stretch, side by side between the 48 and the 84. Mirrored numbers, mirrored race cars down into turn number 1. There's Kenseth leaving pit road, and Johnson retakes the race lead. But Montoya had a fantastic pit stop, and he's going to hang with this 48. Stewart in third. How about this 47 of Shane Meal here in California? Finds himself in the 8th position at the line last time. I think this might be 6th place. And it is. So Shane Meal finds himself in a career-defining Cup start here. 6th position for this 47 car. Great pit stop out of Shane Meal. And the 47 runs in the 6th position, right outside the top 5. Meanwhile, side by side for the race lead between Jimmy Johnson and Montoya. 48, great run there out of turn number 4 on that top side to hold the lead. It's still Stewart in 3rd, Kurt Busch 4th, Kevin Harvick in 5th. Kennington out of pit road in the 16th position, so really off on the back foot on that pit stop. Got the car to get back through this field, but with these guys spread out a lot more now, he's got opportunities in front of him, but he's going to have to really put the pedal to the metal. And Shane Meal, side by side with the 20 of Harvick, and he moves into the top 5 here in California. How about this standout run from the young gun rookie racing with Kevin Harvick? Quite the impressive run. Moves into 5th. Montoya still nothing doing for the lead as Johnson just continues his West Coast dominance here in California. And run out of turn 2 by Montoya. Down the back and into 3. Montoya not to be outdone this time, and the 84 just rifles off in there under brakes, and he gets Johnson for the lead, but maybe got a little bit sideways there coming out of turn 4, and the 48's right back at him on the bottom for the lead. Montoya leads the lap, but Johnson trying to clear that 84 going off into turn 1, but Montoya not to be outdone, trying to hang tight. But Johnson with the beautiful crossover there in turn 4, right away back into the lead. And nobody can stop this 48 car here today. Stewart still in 3rd. Busch, his teammate behind him. Battle for 5th has started to really heat up. 5 cars under a blanket for that position. You see both the PPC cars, the 10 and the 57. Shane Meal in that 47, still a member of this bunch. And it goes Newman and Labonte. Allgaier in the 0-2 having another competitive run. And Kennington, who has moved into 15th past Jeff Gordon's 24, continues this endless charge forwards. Well, we are right at this halfway mark here in California, as it is Juan Pablo Montoya and Jimmy Johnson who have found themselves deadlocked for the lead. It's the Napa 500 here on NASCAR and ESPN. I'll shut my trap for a little bit, let you listen to some race cars and nothing more as we take you to NASCAR. Crank it up. Battle for the lead continues to rage on between Montoya and Johnson, who have traded blows for a good 10 laps in a row now, as the 48 once again retakes the lead from the 84. Johnson just not to be beat here today. That 48 seemed nigh unstoppable over the course of this event, but Montoya has really given him a run for his money up front, as this battle for first continues. Stewart and Kurt Busch have partnered up, drafting together third and fourth, and the battle for fifth has continued. Kennington stalled out maybe just a little bit at the moment. He's in the 14th position, but slowly, potentially closing up to form a little bit of a pack here from fifth on back, as Harvick and Riggs were just side by side for that position. They are 3 wide behind that 57. As you see, Shane Meal all the way on the bottom. Bobby Labonte in the 18 has joined this party for the 5th position, all the way back to him at the very end of the top 10, 5th through 10th, all in that mix, as Riggs around the outside of Harvick trying to hold on to that 5th position. Coming up on 30 laps to go next time by for the race leaders Jimmy Johnson and Juan Pablo Montoya. Continue to fight up front. These two just cannot get away from each other. And once again, Montoya down on the bottom on the backstretch, trying to take away that lead from Jimmy Johnson. Try and hold on to it for once. He's only had a couple laps at a time to be in that top spot. Johnson again, just so quick on that outside. So easy on the throttle. Montoya trying to stick with him down on the bottom, but again, Johnson holds him off, and now 30 laps to go is your count. Just keep mentioning it. That 48 just unstoppable here today, it seems like. And even with the help of the draft of this racetrack, Montoya just cannot stay in front of him for more than a couple laps at a time. Should be coming up on our next pit stop in a little while. Would expect it around potentially 20 to go would be the scheduled final pit stop in tonight's race. Potentially a little earlier than that. Stewart and Kurt Busch still trying to find a way to draft up to these two race leaders. Montoya sneak in the nose underneath of Jimmy Johnson in turns 1 and 2. Side by side for the race lead. Down the backstretch once again, Montoya on the attack. But Johnson with the run on the outside clears him. Montoya trying to drive it in under brakes, and he did get there. But again, Johnson holds him off. Montoya, again, just desperately trying to find a way around Johnson, but is just completely unable to do so. 48, once again, clear on the outside. Montoya thinking about trying to drive it in, get underneath him there. Going into turn 3, couldn't do it. Kurt Busch has moved past his teammate and absolutely driven away from the 42 car over the last couple of laps. Run continues. Excuse me. Johnson coming up on the final third of this race in just 2 laps. We will see the final third begin. It'll be 25 to go. And there you see Kurt Busch, who has really started to run up on these two race leaders, closing in for first. Might make it a 3-horse race towards the end of this run. It was that 01 car collecting his second win of the season. Last time we visited this racetrack, well back in the mix. It's all the way back at week number 10, over 20 races ago, that Kurt Busch took the win at the spring race at this very facility. And once again, finds himself very competitive here at this racetrack. Johnson trying to cover the bottom a little bit against Montoya coming out of turn 4. Kennington and Jeff Gordon have closed up on the rest of this top 10 to potentially try and pick up some spots. It's 12th place for the 81 car right now. Kurt Busch does, or excuse me, not Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart does have a lap lead on the race. Kennington does not. 25 to go, final third here in California. And the question starting to become in this period, what you've got at the very end of this show. Johnson, who has absolutely routed the field here tonight, continuing to lead despite Montoya's best efforts. Have to believe Johnson has led over 40 of the 50 laps in this race. Coming up on the final pit stop pretty soon here, Kurt Busch has entered the battle for the lead. Hasn't quite closed all the way up. Montoya, great run out of turn 4. Might make it yet another try into turn 1, and he's going to. Side by side, off into one. Does Montoya get him this time? And he does. Very, very quick work by the 84 that time, and Johnson tried to get on the throttle early to stay with him, but unable to do so, and Montoya retakes the race lead once again. But Johnson going to sail it off into turn 3, trying to close the gap. But Montoya backed up his corner pretty good there to cover the exit, and he has the lead at the stripe. Kurt Busch still closing in. Stewart starting to show up in the back of frame as well right at the end of this run. Money stop coming up here from California. Noteworthy that Montoya stayed out long on the last run, worked out for him pretty well, and we do have our first pitters. Allgaier was the first taker, shortcut for the 02 car. And let's see. Montoya looking like he is going to cover the shortcut here. Well, maybe not. No, he's not. Montoya will stay out. Johnson comes in. Stewart coming in as well. Kennington will stay out. Stewart opting for the cleaner pit road and the shortcut on the tires. Johnson comes in. And in comes Stewart for 4 tires and fuel. Stewart going to need to put together a nice clean pit stop here. 4 tires and fuel going on that 42 car. Same for Jimmy Johnson. And it was a great pit stop for Tony Stewart. Absolutely exactly what he wanted. Meanwhile, Kennington has come in. Kenseth again staying out long. He is the race leader. And we get a look at Montoya, who is in for his 4 tires and fuel. And he takes a long hold. Montoya, not a great pit stop. Kennington getting tires and fuel on his race car right now. And he makes contact with the 06. That was David Rudiman who got into him. Could be some damage on the right side of the 81 car. Not what Kennington wanted at all. Looking like he's mostly clean. But really not the pit exit he wants either. He's going to have to cut it short and is going to lose a lot of time. Disaster of a final pit stop for Kennington. Again, trouble on pit road strikes the 81. Meanwhile, it's Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart side by side for the lead. 20 laps to go, taking 19 at the stripe. Johnson should have the net race lead. Got Stewart out of turn number 4, but Stewart with a fantastic pit stop puts himself in the mix for the win. Absolutely perfect situation for this 42. But tell you what, Kurt Busch is in front of all of these guys. Wasn't even paying attention up the road, and the 01 car is in front of all of them. Masterful pit stop for both the Ganassi cars up front. Kennington with a little bit of damage on his right side. He finds himself behind the 02 of Allgaier. Could have been a lot worse if he had gotten shoved into the cars on pit road that were in their pit boxes. That could have been absolutely disastrous for the 81. Instead, he's got a chance to recover and really did not lose a lot of positions. He's going to be 13th when he gets past this 02. 4-horse race for the win here in California as Kurt Busch, winner of the spring event at this racetrack, finds his way into the lead. Stewart and Montoya side by side for 3rd behind. Nobody's going to pull their punches on Stewart here late. Montoya wants a shot at this win. Johnson looking for back-to-back victories, would be his 5th. Kurt Busch, the current race leader, 5th in the standings, looking for his 4th victory of 2007. Montoya and Stewart both looking for their 2nd, but they're dropping off of this top 2 with 16 laps remaining. They really might need to just stop fighting if they want any chance of sticking with the leaders. And Stewart is going to clear Montoya on the outside for the 3rd position. And they're going to start fighting for the race lead. Jimmy Johnson, the dominant car of the race, trying to find his way back into 1st with Kurt Busch outdoing him on the pit strategy. But the 48 makes quick work of the 01, and Johnson is back into the lead. And Stewart and Montoya close right back into this mix. 15 laps to go is your count here from California. Stewart looking for a championship crucial win here today. Kennington has found his way into this train all the way back up to 6th. The 2 PPC cars battling for that position. He's got a couple teammates in that pack in form of Harvick and Labonte. Johnson maybe scooting away a little bit. Never mind. Kurt Busch, big run out of turn 4. David Rudiman, who is on pit road for repairs. Several laps down, but no further incident for him, of course. Kurt Busch, big run down the front stretch, and he is going to go underneath of Jimmy Johnson for 1st. 14 to go out of turn 2, side by side still. Johnson trying to hang on, but Kurt Busch clears the 48 for 1st. Pulls Stewart and that 84 of Montoya closer once again. I do think the 01 and the 48 are the 2 faster cars. At least at the moment. See if that changes over the course of this run. Down the front stretch. See Rudiman leaving the pits there. No further issue for him as he gets out off of pit road. Busch. Johnson. And the 5 car of Ricky Hendrick is losing an engine. And the caution flag is going to come out within the final 15 laps. And this changes everything. Johnson trying to get Busch for the lead, coming back to the yellow flag, but he is not going to be able to pull it off. And we are under caution. There's something about California. My goodness, Ricky Hendrick stopped on the bottom there on the apron almost. 48 almost got into him through the smoke. But there is something about late race cautions here in the championship hunt event at California. And we see a late race yellow flag once again. That gives Kennington a chance to make up some positions. That 81's been so fast. So it's been mired on pit road all night. We'll see if he can pull anything off. We'll see if Stewart gets an opportunity to try and race these guys for the lead. And if anybody else gets a chance up front, that 06 of David Rudiman will get waved around under this yellow flag. So no lap traffic in the way for the leaders. And nobody's going to pit under this yellow flag well inside the pit window when we took that final pit stop. Lap number 64 at the moment will be inside 10 to go when we go green here from California. It's the Napa 500 here on NASCAR and ESPN. Back from intermission here at California as Kevin Harvick had an engine issue under the yellow flag. That takes him out of the race. That's a spot for Kennington, who will move up into the 13th position as the 20 car finds himself out of this race. Really disastrous for him. Coming back to the restart here, Kurt Busch finds himself in the lead late, trying to sweep here in California, looking for his 4th win of the season. Jimmie Johnson trying to win back-to-back, sweep this late season West Coast swing. He's in 2nd. Tony Stewart, championship runner-up, in 3rd. Great spot for him, but he's got to hold on to it. Juan Pablo Montoya, who's been competitive late in this race, in 4th. And Matt Kenseth rounds up the top 5. Kennington, the 81, will restart in 13th with a chance to pick up some spots late here in California. It's always drama here in the West Coast. Who is going to win it here tonight is the question. It will be 8 laps to go on the restart as Kurt Busch leads the field to the box, and we're underway. Johnson with a great restart. He jumps to the outside. We are 2 by 2 all the way down to 6th place already as we race off towards turn 1. Kenseth trying to go 3 wide up the inside of of the 42 of Stewart, and he's going to make it stick. Almost all the way to the lead. Side by side with Kurt Busch for first as they leave turn number 2. Stewart hemorrhaging positions. Stewart stuck on the outside. Down the front stretch, Kurt Busch back out into the race lead. Kenseth has found his way all to 2nd. It's Johnson 3rd, Montoya 4th, and Yaley in 5th. Stewart finds himself going nowhere. Kennington is up to his back bumper and down to the bottom. The championship leaders are side by side. Disaster of a restart for the 42. Still has not found his way to the bottom. I cannot believe what I'm watching. Kennington got forced out to the track. Stewart trying to get back underneath of him. Meanwhile, up front, they're side by side for the lead. 5 cars under a blanket. 01, 17, 48, 84, and how about Elliott Sadler finding his way into this mix? Side by side for first. Kenseth trying to take the lead away from Kurt Busch. Couldn't do it. Busch holds the lead coming to 5 to go. Stewart absolutely falling out of it. Three wide for 2nd place as Kurt Busch pulling away with the lead now. Johnson moves back to 2nd place. Does he have enough time to run the 01 down? 4 to go at the line for Kurt Busch. Stewart has still not found the bottom line. I cannot believe this restart for the 42. Down the backstretch with 4 taking 3 to go this time by. Kenseth still within a shot. Montoya in line as well. The question is if Johnson gets up to the back of Kurt Busch, but with this run out of turn 4, it's looking like we still have a battle for the win on our hands. 3 to go here from California, and it is 3 cars under a blanket for the lead. Here comes Jimmie Johnson down to the bottom in turn 1. Can Busch hang on the top? Side by side for the lead as they leave turn 2. They are still door to door. Johnson, the dominant car in the race, clear off into turn number 3. Kenseth trying to move to 2nd place. 2 laps to go and Kurt Busch might fall all the way down to 4th. Kennington near the top 5. Johnson scooting away. Side by side for second now as Montoya trying to get underneath the Kenseth. '17 stays clear. Johnson with the lead. Kenseth trying to run him down, looking for a winless streak snapping win. White flag is in the air last time around here in California. Stewart at the line up to ninth. This place is going to live on in the nightmares of one Chip Ganassi. Half a lap to go here in California. Does Kenseth have anything for Johnson? Could we see two barn burners of finishes 2 weeks in a row? Kenseth trying to get underneath Johnson down towards turn 3. Side by side for the lead into the final set of corners again. Does Kenseth steal it? Down to the bottom of the racetrack. Johnson on the top. Side by side out of turn 4. Kenseth clears him. The Dualt 17 has waited for this win forever, and he's finally going to get it. Kenseth wins in California. What a finish. Matt Kenseth, your winner of the Napa 500. Unbelievable. Kennington will round this race in 6th, and it is 13th for Tony Stewart. A disaster of a restart for the 42. And he does not recover from it. I cannot believe what I've witnessed here today. And Matt Kenseth steals it at the very end. His first Cup Series win since 2004. Almost exactly 3 full seasons to the day he last won a Cup race. And the West Coast gives us some absolute thrillers at the end of this season. And Kenseth taking home the win. I cannot believe the finish to this race. Johnson, the dominant car, gets uprooted right at the end, and it's Kenseth who wins it. And Kennington absolutely lucks out there at the end. Did not get Kurt Busch for that 5th position. It was so tight between them. But he's going to make up points in the championship anyway, and that digs Stewart into a big, big hole. But it is the 17 of Kenseth who steals it at the very dying breath here in California. Unbelievable. So Stewart is going to have a chance, one more chance, to make up some points in this championship. And Kennington has got a shot to clinch the 2007 Cup title in his first full Cup year next week. Could bury the hatchet with that 42 and win this championship. But it's the Matt Kenseth taking home the win. The 17 team finally gets their win they've been looking for, and he wins it. Kenseth, the victor here in California. That'll do it for coverage of the Napa 500 here from NASCAR and ESPN. Next week, week number 35, the Cup Series makes their triumphant return to North Wilkesboro for the Sirius Satellite Radio 400. I've been your host, Caden Reif. It's been a pleasure to have you along as always. Just 2 races remain in the Cup Series calendar, and we will see you next week. And as always, have yourself a good one.